This is the plaintiff, Shirley Ingram. She says the defendant, her co-worker, asked her to deposit a check in her account for her and then give her the cash because she didn't have her own bank account. A couple of months later, her bank called and told her the check was a fraud. The money was deducted out of her bank account, and she's suing the defendant for the $3,000 she was scammed out of. This is the defendant, Aisha Johnson. She says a friend of hers gave her a check and said he needed help getting it cashed because he had no bank account. Her friend gave the plaintiff $500 for cashing the check, and at that point the deal was done. Months later, the plaintiff comes to her crying the check bounced. Well, unfortunately, the guy who gave her the check to cash has since disappeared. She feels horrible about the whole ordeal, but she did nothing wrong and owes nothing to anybody. She's accused of giving a friend a rubber check.
All parties, please raise your right hands. Be seated. Come to order, please. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome,
Shirley Ingram, you're suing, can you pronounce your first name?
Aisha.
Aisha Johnson for $3,000 that you say she owes you the remaining amount from a bounced check that you helped her to cash. What is going on? Go ahead.
I know Miss Johnson for like 4 years. She was my supervisor at my job. And I'd always cash a little check for her son, like a 100, whatever. So one day she
Wait, stop. What'd you say?
She always asked me to cash a check for her son.
Why would your supervisor ask you to cash a check for your supervisor?
I asked her, she's like, they charge at the check cashing, so I deposit little checks and then bring it to her, or she'll come to my house.
But why
on
would you do that?
Saturdays.
What if the check bounces? Then you're out the money. So what was in it for you?
Nothing.
Would she pay you to do that?
No.
All right, go on.
So she came one day she came to work with another check, says a family member, she needed it, and she asked me to cash it so I can deposit it in my account, and if it clears, I give her the money.
How much money was this?
$5,000.
$5,000?
Yes, 103 cents, something
And
like that.
this was for whom?
A family member, she said, who she needed to get some stuff for. He was
The
sick.
check was written to whom?
To her family member, to a person.
So the check was written to some third party that's neither one of you.
Right.
According to you, she hands it to you, not that third party.
Right.
So her family member didn't give you the check.
No, she did.
She gives you the check. Did you ever meet the family member?
No, she said he was sick and she needed money to do stuff for him. So I deposited.
And the check was written on who wrote the check to her family member? Do you have a copy of the check?
Yes.
Let me see it.
Copy.
It's written from the account of the American Arbitration Association to the tune of $5,000, $5,103.75. Paid to the order of John. Who is John? What do you mean?
Oh, I don't know.
How do you not know? She says you handed her the check to cash.
What it was, I asked, Shirley was at the job. First of all, she never cashed no check for my son because he's only 13. Second of all, she was at the job. She had a whole bunch of checks of her own, but they was not in her name. They was other people's name. She asked the staff to help her sign the checks, but don't put the checks on.
What are you guys talking about? You're talking about just pure out fraud? Like stolen checks and stuff? Is that what you're talking about? She had a whole bunch of checks that were written out to other people, and she was doing what with them?
When I came downstairs, her and the staff was in front, and she had a whole bunch of checks, and they was helping her sign the checks.
Why? So there would be a different signature on each check?
Yes, and then...
What'd you think was going on?
I didn't know because I didn't really pay it no mind. So then when I came downstairs, I was like, oh, okay. They kept writing the checks, then she put it away. Then like a couple of days later, my friend had asked me, do I know anybody that work in the bank? I was like, no.
Who's your friend?
This guy at my building named Bills. So I was
Bills
like...
who?
I don't know his last name. That's his tag name that I know.
This is just too delicious.
So then I asked her, being that I saw her doing checks, I was like, well, I asked the lady at the job. So I asked her, I said...
You asked her what?
I said, Shirley, my friend have a check. Do you know anybody?
Why are you doing that? A guy whose name you claim not to even know.
Yeah, you're right.
Why would you ask her to cash his check? What was in it for you?
I didn't get nothing out of it, Your Honor.
Were
at
you
all.
supposed to?
No, I didn't know. Or he just
So then
told
why
me.
would you?
Yeah, you're right.
No, I'm not telling you that the next time make sure you get some money. What I'm saying to you is I'm not sure I buy everything that you're saying. I think you're minimizing your role in this. You seem to think that she's got friends at a bank and that they can go ahead and cash a check without asking too many questions, which means somebody stole this check, which is a federal offense, out of somebody's mailbox. I mean, that's what's going on here. This is bizarre. And so you turn around and you get into it with her and ask her, can you cash a check? And what's in it for her?
She got $500 and the lady at the bank got $500. Then she was, before I even
How are you all not in jail? And then what happened?
Then after that, everything was fine.
Wait, no, what happened physically, mechanically? She cashes a check and then what happens? The money goes where? Does she take 5?
Yeah, she took the 5.
And did the other lady take 5?
Yes.
And then how much money gets into your hands?
She gave me back $3,000. And he came and picked up the money.
Wait, there's 1,000 missing.
No, I'm sorry. She gave me back $4,000.
Okay.
And he came to the job that night and picked up the money.
From whom?
From me, because she put it in my hand. So I took him to him outside and he left. After that, when I ain't hear nothing else from him, he disappeared. That was that.
Was this guy a good friend of yours? And you're just trying to protect him by not giving his last name?
No, I don't know it. Me and him knew each other.
Because you don't make any sense why you would get yourself involved in what is clearly criminal behavior for a guy you don't know.
You're right.
What's your response to all this stuff?
Your Honor, when she asked me to cash the check, I said to her, I'll deposit in my account because that's my supervisor. I'll deposit in my account, and if it clears, you get the money.
Okay.
I deposited, it cleared.
But I'm
uh,
having a really hard time believing you that you just go around depositing people's checks in your accounts without getting any money for it.
I did not.
Did you get
people's check.
$500?
No, she gave me $100 for lunch. I didn't. Not a people's
She
check.
gave you $100 for lunch.
Just,
What happened to the check, by the way?
the check bounced. I got a letter from the bank.
Let me see the letter from the bank. Do I have it here? We are writing to inform you of an important matter. Chase has been notified that a check negotiated by you was returned for forged endorsement. Enclosed are copies of the document. Who forged the check?
Miss Ingram.
She signed it?
She told him not to sign the back of the check. Just bring it to her, and that's what I did.
There's no truth in that.
So
she gave me the
she
check
gives
signed.
you. So you give her the check unendorsed. So you already know it's a stolen check.
She asked me.
You have to know it's a stolen check. It wasn't endorsed, and she told you, just give it to me without anybody signing it.
Yeah,
so
she
that
just
I can
said-
sign it.
Yeah.
So you knew it was a stolen check.
No, I didn't know where did she ask me what it. No, I didn't. Sorry.
How could you not know it was a stolen check?
I never saw the check, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, you handed her the check.
I handed her the check in an envelope. She opened it.
You just testified that she told you nobody sign it,
Yeah,
just
that's
give it
what
to
she
me
said.
unsigned. So you know the check was unsigned. Okay?
Yeah, that's what she
you
told me
know
to
the
tell
check
her.
was unsigned. And you know that if the check was written to Bill, Bill would just go about signing his own check and none of this would be going on. So you know the check is written to another party. So you knew this check was stolen, just like she knew this check was stolen. Both of you knew it.
I did not
How
know
many
the check
times
was
did y'all get
stolen.
away with this before?
I never did it. That was my first time because I saw her doing checks. That's what made me ask her.
Doing checks. You know it's theft, right? That there's somebody's money is taken when you do that. You understand that, right? You just don't care.
Your Honor, after the check was bounced, I called her. I called her the same night.
No,
the next day,
check didn't bounce, sweetheart. What happened is that when John didn't get his money, he called the American Arbitration Association. And then the American Arbitration Association tracked the check to figure out and say, hey, no, you did cash it. And then they showed him the check with the supposed endorsement in the back. And then he said, that's a forgery. I never got that check. That's what happened. Long after everybody distributed the money. And then your bank comes back to you and says, this is a forged check. And we are going to charge it back to your account. And we will not release your liability as the endorser. This claim is for $5,103. Your account is overdrawn and shows a negative balance. Contact us immediately. What'd you do with that account? Did you ever make good on it?
Yes, I paid. They took the money, what I had there. And
They
I
took
paid
the money,
rest.
we had a negative balance.
Yes,
So
yes.
after February, this is a long time ago, this is in 2011, did you ever make good on it?
Yes. And I told Miss Johnson about it. She gave me $1,000 the next day when I told her about it.
And why did you, and then she actually ended up giving you $2,000
Yes.
total, right? And why did you give her $2,000?
Because I had felt bad. She came to work crying.
Why would you feel bad if you're the only person who supposedly didn't make
No,
any money?
I didn't get nothing.
I think you split it with Bill, and I don't think his name is Bill. I don't think that you're giving me even the right first name, and I think that you probably split it with him because that's the only incentive to go ahead and get involved in all this. But go on,
I did not
I'm
split it
listening.
with him.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. So what should the judge do? Kick him out of court or award the plaintiff money?
Kick them out of court.
Why?
Because it's illegal. And I mean, it sounds like that they were both involved in it.
So if they're both involved, the judge should kick him out?
Kick them both out. I mean, they're both as guilty as one another, so.
But what if one is really left holding the bag? Tough luck?
Tough luck. If it was an illegal thing, then that's too bad.
Fair enough. Going inside the courtroom.
She came to work crying. First of all, when she came to work, everybody was asking her what was wrong with her. She sat down with me and another coworker.
I hope you both got fired. Did you guys get fired?
No,
No? You guys are both still working there?
she is. I'm not.
Go on.
So I was like, all right, Shirley, I would try to help you pay back some of this money. Because I felt so bad. Anything I need from her or I needed something, she always was there.
Now, are you both done? Because now let me tell you what actually went down, okay? You apparently have figured out a really good way to cash stolen checks. You figured out that she figured out a really good way to cash stolen checks because she's got a connection at the bank that won't ask too many questions. You and your friend, who you're protecting, probably split the money because otherwise you wouldn't get so involved in something that clearly should have the both of you arrested. The $2,000 that you paid is probably because the $4,000 that you got, $2,000 went to him and $2,000 went to you. That's why you stopped paying after $2,000. You are lucky to get the $2,000 because if you play with fire, you get burned. That's what happens, okay? That's what happens. And as far as I'm concerned, you're both involved in a criminal enterprise. And let me tell you what courts do when people are involved in a criminal enterprise. We call that unclean hands. You come to court and you say to me, Judge, help me to get the money that I'm out. Okay? It's kind of like this. You might as well come to court and say, Judge, I sold her a kilo of cocaine. And she didn't pay me the whole amount, Judge, and I want you to make her finish paying me because I gave her the cocaine and she won't finish paying me. Do you think that a court of law would say, finish paying for the cocaine? Do you think a court of law is going to help you? Help you wash your hands of all the risk you took when you got involved in what is clearly a criminal enterprise of cashing stolen checks?
Your Honor, I've never
Do
cashed a
you
stolen
think
check.
that is going to happen here
I've
today?
never cashed a stolen check in my life.
You
I've
cashed
never.
a lot of them.
No, I've never.
You cashed a lot of them.
I've never ever cashed
You're
a stolen
crook
check.
and you're a crook. And guess
Oh,
what?
my God.
Courts don't get involved in helping crooks get their money back. This case is dismissed.
And with that, the plaintiff leaves the courtroom. Case dismissed. Here, turn around here. Come on.
turn around.
What are you thinking right now?
I don't know what, because
You don't know what to
it's
think,
just
do you?
lies. I've never cashed a stolen check in my life.
Really?
She asked me, never. I never wrote
How did you
a
get
bounce
involved
check.
in a fraudulent check scheme then?
It's not a scheme. It's just she asked me to do it, and I deposited.
What do you think? What did you think was going on?
I don't. That's my supervisor. That's my friend, and she said.
Don't you realize-
Don't have a, I didn't
Think?
I don't know what I was thinking. I didn't think nothing.
You don't
I just cashed it for her. She got the money. I
Okay.
didn't think it was okay.
Follow Officer McIntosh down there. All right, so you step on out here and what do you think was going on?
She's a scam artist.
She is.
Yes, she is.
That's what she said you are.
No, I'm not. If I'm gonna see somebody doing something and I ask you to, if you're gonna do it, you're gonna ask me where I get the check from, who it belongs to. She asked none of that.
It's
All she
amazing that
said-
two people can come out and one of them is just lying about the other one, if not both. It's amazing.
And it's crazy because I got nothing out of it, and she knew I got nothing out of it.
Harvey?
Kurt, the key to this thing is that the basis of this whole transaction was fraudulent. And because of that, there's something in the law called unclean hands. You're not going to give the one left holding the bag money just because they were the left holding the bag. They're both crooks. They both engaged in a fraudulent scheme. Sorry, no justice. Well, actually, there was justice, kicking him out of court.